寄せてくる。
It's not making it to the water. That's just all coming onto the...
Yeah, but that's still.
Good morning, good morning. We've got some sunshine. Look at this. We can't control the angle of the sun, just week by week, year by year. It's not a barren. The scale is 20 centimeters, left to right. The divisions are centimeters. We've got comments. So here's the plate. Where's the spoon? Where's the spoon?
Shall I put a spoon?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Good morning, everybody. Really, really peaceful day here. Beautiful, beautiful day. There has been some... Oh, look at that one. You can see the largest ones, they're about 12 centimeters long, I think. That's about matches what I said the other day when we were talking about this. Okay, as you can see, we're out in Ome. It's a beautiful, peaceful day. I do have some work to do, not really important. We'll do a bit of work, watch some fish. Sadako's here to help with the feeding. Not me, the fish. On the normal streams, you see Sadako come up the stairs, do you know? Sadako comes up the stairs on the normal streams with the lunch ready to feed Dave. Today's feeding job is, is the fish. So, and the scale, it's a bit funny. Look at this. It's like those things they do in the movies when they've got two people that pretend they're sitting together, but they're actually not. You know, there's I forget the name for it in the movies. When they want to make somebody look really big and somebody look really small, they sit them towards the camera like this, but actually that person is farther back than this person. We're not actually this different in size. So, John's got forced perspective. I think they did it a lot in the Hobbit movies. Some of those Hobbit people were supposed to be really small, but you can't shrink an actor beyond a certain point. So they did it with camera trickery. So they're asking me, which is easier to feed?
Oh, that's a good question.
The answer is easy. I just lie there. You can throw it in. Hey, be careful. Sadako feeds all kinds of creatures. We got to be careful here. Be careful here. Okay, the work today, such as it is, I'm way behind on the color separations for the August print. I got the finished key block back from Kawasaki-san. Monday, I can't remember, Monday, Tuesday. So I did one quick color separation, pasted it down and sent it to her so that she has work to do this week, because the rest of them are kind of complicated. And once I've got the key block from her, it's going to take me 3, 4, 5, 6 days to get it all worked out. She would have no work for the week. So I just did a quick one, and one that was easy and understandable, and sent it off to her. And now I'm trying to work through the rest of the puzzle. I tossed it over to Taran-san too. I was printing the other day, so when color separation job came back, I tossed it to Ransan. He had some ideas. He did a bit of work with the Photoshop file and helped. Then I did a bit of work on top of it. And what we've got today then, I'm going to be able to paste down and do some tracing of the colors very casually. I don't know. And I brought a piece of wood with me, so we might even see something get pasted down. We have a book corner, and this time it's a real book. There's no ISBN number on it because it was made way before ISBN numbers, but whatever. We'll have books to chat about. That's today's plan. You should have been here last night when I was sitting there, the kingfisher. In the afternoon yesterday, late afternoon, I should have been doing this work, but I kind of got...
I was late.
You were late.
I was cooking for you.
Doesn't, not a criticism, just a comment. I sat here by the river yesterday afternoon late. I was supposed to be working, but whatever, I sat there. And the king came along, the kingfisher. I don't know, it looks like the same guy I've been seeing for years. They always look exactly the same. It's the same color. How long do they live? Is this the same bird I've been watching for 20 years, or are they born and die each year? I don't have any idea. Then they're asking about fireflies. We saw fireflies last night, a whole bunch of them. Any given time, sort of what? Fireflies 3 or 4 at a time, and then 2 or 3 at a time, and then maybe 4 or 5 at a time for a bit. There were lots. We tried to take some video. I tried with my camera. Completely nothing, just a black blur. Sadako has a better camera. She's got an iPhone. And we caught some. So a little bit later, remind me, and we'll... Look at those fish. It's perfect. We had some good light. Look at this. We should get rid of Dave. We should just look at the fish. Look at this. Look at this. I've never seen that many big ones waiting. Someone says kingfishers live 6 to 14 years. Okay, so maybe I've been here 25 years, so 3rd or 4th generation. Kingfishers are territorial, yes, I think so very much. We are in this guy's territory. He lives somewhere on the riverbank down to the left of us. But yesterday watching that guy, he came by, he flew by 2 or 3 times, but then I got really lucky and he perched on a branch just across the river from me. I kept absolutely silent because they really, really, really don't like people. And if they realize that you're there, then they'll fly away straight away. So. But I didn't see him catch anything. So Sadako today at the moment, she's actually feeding kingfishers, kind of. Oops. Sadako, we're getting great shots. It's fine. Don't feed them too much because they scramble too much. Just wait a while and they'll come and hang around, so it's good. We're getting some great shots here. The actual work then that we're supposed to be doing today. I don't know if I should work or just give up and watch the river. I don't know. Yesterday I didn't do anything. So what we've got is a mix of things. These are the Kyogozuri. These are the prints that I made from the key block. And this is going to be a bit difficult to understand what it is. We're not in Kansas anymore. We're inside a very large space colony, which is why the curvature of the planet is this way. And up in the distance here, which you can't see on any of these particular printouts, off in the distance, we see the rest of the colony in a tube going off into the vast distance. It's going to be a really, really, really interesting image. But of course, in line with the nostalgic feeling that Atelier Cento really wants to do with these prints, we're going to see an old thatched farmhouse, rice fields, and kids playing with kites mixed together. We're inside a space colony. Did you understand this one? So, I don't have a finished print to show you here, but
This is the first time.
that's okay. When I was in high school or college, whatever, a guy called Gerard, I think his name was Gerard O'Neill. He wrote a book about, I think he called it Space Colonies. And he was proposing the idea that at some point, for him this was in a far, far, far future, that humans should get off the planet to maximize our chances for survival. And he semi-designed a bunch of concepts for structures in space. And we are inside one of them. It's a huge, huge tube which rotates to give gravity. And it's a city in the countryside or whatever. So the finished print looks really, really, really nice. And it's absolutely in line with our theme. Jump ahead 400 years to the future and look back 200 years to a nostalgic past, which is still well in our future. So.
This is imaginary plant.
Actually, no, they look like,
Morning glory. Lotus.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got
Middle
the.
of them.
I don't know if it's imaginary. There's the.
Oh.
It's kind of asagal type plant. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, what I've got is some of the ones here. Let's do one first that requires just the standard coloring. Where are we? Number 6. I've got them all worked out. There's going to be 13 faces. This is going to be 6 pieces of wood, both sides, one side doubled up. This print has a lot of colors. And for those of you who sort of don't know then what's happened, it's this. These are prints taken from the key block. So they carry all the lines of the key. To make color blocks, some of the color blocks easily fit inside the key. For example, we need a color block that will do the distant mountain. If I can zoom in just a bit here, maybe. So we're going to. Oh, it's dying. This one. I didn't bring my own. This is stuff that's just sitting here. No, there.
Is there any possibility I can find?
Well, that's what I did this morning. I went to Ishigami-san's desk and dug around. I think we can use this. It's okay.
You couldn't find?
I did. This morning I went to Ishigami-san's desk because I realized I forgot my own. In all the list of things I was supposed to bring yesterday. Would you want to live in such a place up there? A huge space colony rotating with cities and landscape in it? Could you imagine living in such a place? So that's the easiest kind of color transfer. We're going to take a piece of wood, paste this down, and that will be one color block. The mountain won't be pink. We're just using pink because the color stands out. So that's type 1, transfer. Another type, which can I do that will show the concept here? Yeah, let's get the pink one, number 7. Here we are. some of the print sometimes needs patterns that are not outlined by the key block. Now this was an example. On the print we have a kite, and the only lines on the key block are the outlines of the kite. So that's fine if I wanted to print the kite in a solid color. But if we want a pattern, then I need a different way to do this. This is the information supplied by the designers. I stole this from their original sketch that they gave us. But I now have to transfer it to wood ready for carving. So I took it to the same copy machine that I used when I copied their original transfer, and copied their pattern onto the same thin paper. We've got a printout now from the key block, and this should line up. All of this really, should be done on the same day and the same temperature. Yeah, I mean, if you imagine if I print this out on a rainy day and then put it in a folder, bring it here. If I had done this, if it was a rainy day when I printed this the other day, now I'm here, it's a hot, dry day. That's enough variation in the shrinkage of the paper that by the time you get it onto your block here, the dimensions have changed. These prints are so small that the dimensional variability is small. And also I'm being careful. I did this, what was it? I did this yesterday morning before I came. Early, before I went to the pool, I went to copy it to try and keep the time frame. Yeah, I think we're okay. Oh, I need a... I need a cutter knife. Can you get a cutter knife from Ishikami-san's desk, please? Thank you. Thank you. Hey, thank you. So we've doubled up this transfer now. Actually, there's 2 sheets of Gampi here. So isn't this going to cause problems? Well, no, because what will happen is only this top sheet will end up being stuck to the block. The glue won't go through, and none of those lines that you see on the back here will actually end up being transferred to the block. We don't need them. All the carver needs is she'll just need these dark areas. And why did I need them to do it this way? Because I had to make sure they got lined up with the registration marks. Has she got food going there? There's a whole bunch of different sizes of these fish, but yesterday when I went out there and sat on the edge of the stream with my legs dangling over down towards the water, I took the camera with me hoping to get some nice shots of the larger fish. They don't come anywhere near when there's a person there. The little guys will come out, but the big guys don't come out when they can see somebody sitting at the edge of the bank. Which obviously is how they got to be big guys. You don't get to be a big fish if you easily run out into the open every time something interesting comes along. The scale markings, for those of you who have just come in, they're centimeters. And left to right, we're looking at 20 centimeters. So the longest fish here, I seem to be just over 10, maybe 11 or 12 centimeters, maybe a tiny bit longer. That guy's 9. No, somebody's praising me. This wasn't my idea. Somebody else last week said that we should put something in the water for scale. And no, I didn't draw on the plate permanently. I drew on a piece of plastic and stuck it onto the plate temporarily. So relax. I myself don't care, but the ladies in the organization would have something to say about that. So. It's looking really good today. It's working very, very well. You know, it's a bit too bad. I think the plate is light, so the camera has changed the, not the focus. The
balancing.
Light. Yeah, yeah. So the other areas get a bit too dark. Not quite sure. John's asking, were they worried about the environment or the plate? It's the plate. They don't care about the river. So what are you? You didn't see me do this morning. The plate with the marker.
Is it, but you placed the ruler on top of it. Did you draw? I thought you placed ruler.
Is she going to get upset now? Before you don't. How did I do this? Knowing that you're here. When I did this morning, I know that you're here. Yes, but I know that you're going to be seeing this. I needed to do this. I had to get a plate and I had to do some markings on it. But I know that you're also in the building.
Did you draw with marker on the plate?
No.
You placed a transparent plastic ruler on. That's what I thought.
Okay, that's good. If I lived here all by myself alone and nobody else around to say anything, I don't care about a plate. There's 10 plates upstairs that will never get used for 100 years from now, so I would have drawn it. But I'm not, I'm not here. So yes, it's on a piece of plastic. So. The other thing also, it reminds me I should mention, people were asking, we've got a GoPro camera here. Why not put a GoPro into the river so we can see this live? Now there's a thing about GoPro cameras. We've got one. Karen, one of the mods here, passed on a GoPro to me with a waterproof plastic container. Perfect. You can, go swimming, you can go surfing, you can do whatever you want. So perfect. Put it in the river, let's watch the fish. The problem is we're streaming. You put the GoPro in the package camera, lock the plastic, put it in there, press the record button, put it in there. But you can't stream live from a GoPro or from any camera wireless while it's underwater. The water blocks Wi-Fi signals, blocks radio signals. You need a wired camera. So when you see something from the BBC, they've got cameras underneath, it's one of two things. It's either a camera with a case and they're recording it under there with their cameramen, then they bring it back up and show you the video, edit it, or you've got a cable to your submarine machine, whatever, and you're looking at it live. You can't transmit signals from underwater. So I tried last year. I took the GoPro, we talked about this, I got a plastic aquarium case with no top, turned it upside down, mounted the GoPro inside, ran a cable out the bottom and up here to this room so that I could run a cable from under the water. And the GoPro wasn't in its plastic case. The GoPro was just inside this upside down plastic aquarium, which I put a stone on to keep it from bubbling up. And it worked perfectly for about 10 seconds. And then, because it's open bottom on the ground inside under the water, the moisture is more 100% humidity, and the inside just became fogged a few minutes. So those of you asking me, use the GoPro, use the GoPro. I can take some, and I meant to bring it this week and put the GoPro in its plastic, put it under there, recording, so we could show it later. But we can't do live, not without some massive level of technology that I have yet to be able to figure out. A plastic box with the camera inside that has clear, not going to get foggy, and that has a wire running up to where we are here. So that's to the people that were asking about this. Dave, just use the GoPro inside a waterproof case. It's actually not so simple. So. Okay, there's nothing else I can do with this one. That will get pasted down. What I can do, I brought some wood, so the ones that need to get pasted down, that can go down. This one's ready for pasting. This one, which I put down as a test yesterday, I did the same thing. I put the Photoshop layer on top, number 11. Yeah, that's ready to go. I can paste that down, and I can paste this down. Let's do that. So there's some semblance of interesting work that people are seeing here. Where's a piece of wood? Excuse me. It's okay, right here. The video, we've got a video corner, the Firefly video. So.
On my cell phone it worked.
What have we got here? This is the background. That needs
Put that aside?
No, I'm trying to decide which piece of wood to use. Just about that. Can't use that. This is interesting. One of the ones I'm going to be pasting down is almost a full surface of the block. It'll be cut out. The places you see white here will be cut out in different colors. But this will be a tint block that covers the entire surface. It'll be done as a gradation. The topper part will be in a gradation blue. The bottom part will be green. But I need for this one, because we've got a full surface, I need a block. You know, I can't use a block like this that's got a hole. I can't use this. I could use this, but we have a problem. If we were making violins, this is an attractive thing. When they're making a violin from maple or something, and they've got the back of the violin, this particular pattern, I don't know what it's called in English. Anybody can help me maybe? In Japanese, this is called nashi moyo. And I don't know, I can't explain technically how it came about, but it's a certain pattern that appears in grain in a certain type of hardwood when you slice it a certain way. Someone says medullary rays. Whatever, I can't tell. You know, the wood grain is vertical. These patterns go in a sort of a cross-grain pattern. And when you're making a violin, they can be really, really beautiful. Guitar, violin, stuff like this. For us, they are the kiss of death. They look nice here, but if we were going to try and print a deep, rich color on this block, those patterns will show. Because there's enough difference in hard and soft wood that it picks up. Spalting, is that a word? I don't know. I can't say yes or no here because I myself don't know this. If somebody's really confident about this, then tell us. But if you're not confident, then put a question mark. And there, you can see it there. We call nashi moyo, and I don't quite understand because nashi is the word in Japanese for, it has two meanings. It means nothing, nashi, nanimonai, there's nothing there. Or nashi is a noun, it's a kind of fruit that is kind of like a pear. It's a mix between a pear and an apple. So I don't know, maybe there's an older term that I don't know. Anyway, long story short, whatever. Sorry. So we couldn't use this if we were printing a deep color. Dave here is sitting here thinking, this is a smooth, clean block, and we need a smooth, clean block for this color, but we're only going to be printing it in a very light pattern, And also other stuff is going to be going on top of it. So I've got to make my decision. Can I get away with using this block for this background color? Or should I chicken out? If I use it and send it through, and the printers are then trying to do this thing, and I look at their finished print and I say, what's all this stuff here up in the sky? And they'll be yelled at me because I put this block on. The pattern comes out sometimes in the finished color.
Can I touch?
You can't feel it. There's nothing you can feel. It's
still coming out.
Because some of it is hard and soft, so the way the water absorbs is different. It's like wood grain. When you have a piece of pine wood, the grains are dark and light and dark and light, winter, summer. And on a piece of pine, the grain lines are super hard, and the summer wood is super soft. So you always get the wood grain pattern. On cherry, although we can see the grain lines, there really isn't a huge difference in water absorption across the surface of the block. So normally we can make a print without showing the grain lines. What should I do? Because I don't have any blocks left. These are the last 2 blocks I've got left right now. But again, it's got defects. So it's a question of lesser of 4 evils. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. Take my life in my hands. Actually, having said that it's time to paste this down, we have a bit of a problem here. I have my glue, I have my hanchita, I have my block. I didn't bring my kento nomi. My chisel. There's chisels upstairs. Let me go get a chisel from the wood shop upstairs. Just 1 sec. While I'm up there, it takes 1 minute. We can look at some fish. 1 sec. Nomi, 取りに行きます。Someone's talking about, altering the ecosystem here, and I really am a little bit concerned about this. Are we hurting these guys or helping them? I think in terms of a system like this, if this was winter, for example, and food is getting low, and we fed them to keep them going, and then suddenly stopped feeding them, we'd be in trouble. But that's not what's happening here. We drop by once every couple of weeks, and I think for these guys it's party time. Then they get back to their normal life. Look at that guy. Look at the size of that. 10, 11, 12, 14, nose to tail. Look at that. That's pretty much max here, That's it. And that's the kind of stuff that people around here would eat. And if my neighbors knew that these were here, I think there'd be trouble. 結構大きいもの来たよ。 14センチぐらい。
Wow.
14.
Dominant guys.
Well, we don't see them much because they hide. You know, the reason they got to be so big is because they're really, really, really
Yeah,
careful.
I
They don't
mean,
come out. You know. So,
Between smaller
yeah,
ones
yeah,
and
yeah.
big ones.
But they're getting big enough now that I'm a bit surprised. The years I was living here, I didn't really see many that big. The kids were here all the time. 夏休みの間、小学生たちが they came and played and took it, you know. So. But I don't ever see kids here anymore. Look at the size of that. That's about 10 or 11 centimeters long. Oh, look at this. So, and if their dads knew, dads would be here fishing. They'd be grabbing for eating. No, that's big enough to eat. That's
Do they
breakfast.
eat?
No, that Japanese guy would take that 14 centimeters. That's breakfast. I mean, they're fishing down in the Tama River for these things, for ayu.
Ayu じゃない。
I know,
これ
but
ayu じゃない。
I know, but this is. I mean, I'm sure people would be taking these for food, the big ones. You know. So someone's saying feeding them like this once or twice a month, I really think is okay. I don't think we're harming them. If we did it into the winter and then stopped, I think that would be a different story. Or, and this one I'm not sure, but also if we fed them the kind of food that was really hurtful to them. And are they smart enough to reject stuff that's not healthy for them? This is an unknown question to me. We've talked about this before. I don't really actually want to tell these people what we're feeding them today. I don't know. We've been feeding ramen, right? Bits of sort of, well, pasta was the one I've been feeding them for years. And they eagerly take it. And it's just, whatever, pasta, it's starch. It's wheat, right?
But today's food is quite... I choked in the kitchen.
Did you read the package? So
I took a picture of the package.
we're feeding them special brownies. No, we don't have anything like that here. My God, we don't have anything like that. No.
Not sweet stuff.
No. But actually, what we fed them today is really closer to what they would naturally eat. I think. Naturally
so.
eat. Fish flakes. So someone's got it soylent green. It may as well be, you know. So there's another question here. Someone's talking about the legal length for fish. That's another question too. I have no idea the answer to this. To go fishing in the Tama River down below us here, the guys who go fishing down there, they line up at the season. The river there is seeded. They bring seedlings and dump them in, seedlings or whatever they're called, small little fish, fingerlings. And you got to get a license. You got to go to City Hall or the police office or the post office or somewhere. You got to get a license to fish here in the Tama River.
No, according to the place.
Whatever.
Pay
Here.
extra.
Yeah, sure. If you buy a license, you're allowed to do this. And when you're fishing, you see the guys. They've all got the tag hanging from the back of their pants. You've got to display your tag permitting you to do this. And there must be a rule about the size. You can take a big one, but if it's too small, I guess, I don't know if it's possible, let it go or throw it back. But you've probably killed it by then. I don't know the details of this. And one of the guys here who is a fisherman, he's mentioning that something like this, if this was in America, maybe 20 centimeters would be the minimum. Anything under 20, he says, anything under 20 centimeters or so, they probably do it by inches over there. So these would not be legal to take in that environment. And maybe the same is here. I don't know this. I'm sorry. It's probably on the internet. If you look for Tokyo river fishing regulations, it probably will come up. This river here is the property of the Tokyo Prefecture, Tokyo government. My property line ends just below my nose here, just at the edge of the river, and that plate is in the public space, the public river. And also we are part of Tokyo's water supply. The river here is just above. We drain into the Tama River just above one of the main water intakes for Tokyo's municipal water supply. Not our water here, but the water here flows down. Maybe the water in Asakusa or something comes from there.
According to the fish, it's ニジマス12センチ以下。
12?
ニジマス。
はい。
濃いカープ18センチ以下、うなぎ26センチ以下。
Okay, but this kind of stuff. You said, honey, the first one you mentioned?
ニ
Mas,
ジマス
trout,
ね。
trout. This is a kind of trout type family type
12.
fish. So you can take, if it's 12, you have to throw it back. If it's 13, you can take it.
Right.
Really? That's a low number then. So you can see this. That scale is 20. Those bigger ones we saw were 13 or 14, so they're illegal. And again, what's the name of the fish? We really don't know. The fish down in the river below us, the main Tama River, are clearly ayu.
Ayu.
And also, it begins with a Y. Yamame?
Yamame.
Yamame. But these don't seem to fit the photographs, the color, the stripes on the side. We can't see them here because we're seeing them from the top against the sand. But later when we do that GoPro thing, we'll be able to see them from the side. You can see the pattern. And they don't really seem to match either ayu or yamame.
英語はないね。マッサーモンとかチェリーサーモンとか。
Oh, they're not salmon. They're kind of trout.
No,
Absolutely.
I think so.
Look, there's a nice one. But I wouldn't take this. I can't imagine. They're not pets, but I can't imagine the idea that I would grab one of these, kill it, and take it upstairs and cook it. And no.
People eat.
I know. I'm a carnivore.
Crabs.
I ate them last night. What did we have last night? We ate a bit of chicken and a bit of oysters and something else. I forget. I'm not a bleeding heart. I eat meat, but something that's this, whatever. I'm being a hypocrite, I guess. Whatever. I would much rather have the buddies down there in the stream than have the food. And having said that, it depends how hungry you get, doesn't it? If the supermarket wasn't there, I would be looking at these guys a little bit different. So it's all a question of how hungry you are. So this is perfect today. We're getting good shots of these guys. Look at that. It's too bad the time of day we don't get direct sunshine, because when the sunshine is down there, it's wonderful. You can see the shadows and the beautiful color.
They're waiting.
It's okay. They've already had more special treats this morning. It's okay. It's okay. Let them wait. I'm a bit worried about overfeeding, When you've got pet fish in your home, right? If you feed them too much, they like die or whatever. They eat too much.
Gain weight.
No, I mean in any, because
They don't eat more than enough.
I don't know. I think I've been warned about this. Their default mode is grab it, because the food chance is so seldom that food comes. Their default mode is grab it. You've seen this. They thrash around in the river as soon as food comes in. So I think it's quite possible they would eat too much. If we kept throwing too much, they would eat too much.
Animals living in wild environment, if they gain too much weight.
I wasn't thinking about over a longer period of time gaining weight like human beings do. I was thinking about in the space of a few hours. If a fish has got a certain capacity, and once he's full, the trigger for eating more may still be there, because it never happens in real life. I don't know. Have we got any on this? Is it possible to overfeed fish? Someone says they definitely would overeat, as in like we could hurt them, you mean?
But after that, they can't hunt. The movement will get slower, and then they will lose weight.
I get your idea. So once they're stuffed, they will I can't eat anymore, because you can't, you just go sit there and digest for a while. So in that case, we can't hurt them. But where was it? When my kids had aquariums and we had food at home, there was a deal, don't do it, because they will eat too much and they will die, like right there, if you dump too much food into the aquarium,
But they stop eating.
But again, I don't know. This is what I was told, and I really don't know. We're getting answers both ways. Someone says, yes, they will eat themselves to death.
Oh.
But then somebody else, never heard of a fish dying of overeating. Someone says, I raise fish in an aquarium. Fish will stop eating. Oh, yeah, then the food rots and causes trouble. Okay, I get it. That's a different kind of problem. Okay. It's like a cat or a dog. They'll just keep eating. So the question is, can we overfeed these guys, or should we, we should be careful about it. Eat too much, they get the guts full and stuff. And I'm waffling here. I'm supposed to be doing some work. This is not my kentonomi. Well, we can do this. There will be a tiny bang. And another one. This is not my workbench. It's shaking the whole thing. And one more. It's dark, it's funny, even though we got this light here. Can you put those lights on? Can you reach? Left, not the middle one, the left and right.
Okay, left or right?
Yeah, and then dial them up, and right. Migirimo.
What, maximum?
2, left and right. There's 2 switches.
Okay, right, 2.
Hi. Oh, that's better. Thank you. Yes, made a difference. Good. I got the wrong glasses. I've got been trying to do printmaking work when you're not at home.
Found another pair of glass.
Yeah, they're ancient, so they're long. It just should just be thrown
Does it
away.
work?
No, they're just prescription. It's just too old.
So your new glasses are in Asakusa?
No, I have 2 pairs. I have the pair that I normally use for this, computer and walking around. Walking around is nothing. Computer and looking at this desk is these. And then when I need to hunch over and do something close, there's another pair in Asakusa at my carving bench. And at this point, I would reach for those, but I didn't bring them today. So. Yeah, the idea of trying to do printmaking work here in Ome is not. I said I wouldn't be doing this. I would just do other random jobs in Ome. So this was a bit silly today to try and bring printmaking work here when I don't have any of the tools or setup or anything. So. I'm just gonna screw things up here if I'm not careful. So. Okay, we can do that. It's election time. Next Sunday is an election. And you're about to be treated, if you've never heard it before, you're about to be treated to the delights of a Japanese campaign car. What are they called in Japanese?
Senkyo car.
Car. Kurumaじゃないね。
Car. 車とは言わない。
They'll be coming this way. Maybe it went a different way. We might have escaped it. It started. Did you hear the sign?
Do you mean fish?
No. The car must have gone a different way.
Uh,
We're on a semi-main street here.
so, 選挙カーでいいの?
選挙 car. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's election car. I said campaign car, but whatever. Okay. Japanese elections, they're getting less bizarre. When I came here, they were really, really, really bizarre. It's getting less so now, but my God.
the information about 選挙レンタカー。選挙カーレンタ。
Yeah, somebody's got it. It's here. 選挙カー。
選挙レンタカー。
Rent a car.
So-
Yeah, companies rent them. Yeah.
そう。19万8,000円から。
1日?
書いてないの。
わかんない。
何日か書いてない。
Ah, this glue is 99 years old. It hasn't been used in like 12 years. Oh. When I say bizarre, what I meant was from somebody coming from another country to see the way that Japanese do elections was bizarre in the extreme.
買い取りか。
The main deal being, of course, there's very little voting done by policy things. Voting is done by whose name you remember.
It seems to be a big business.
The point of a Japanese campaign is who can shout their name the loudest for the longest, so that when Mr. and Mrs. Suzuki goes into the polling booth, there's one name and one name only in their minds. So the campaign cars go down the road and literally they shout. Well, you don't need me to tell you this news. Everybody knows about this now. The campaign cars just roll all around town during the 2 weeks of the election campaign, up until the very last minute that they're allowed to do so, and they just shout the candidate's name again and again and again.
There are several types for 地方議会 local parliament. 27万7,000.
Oh, for the cars?
A smaller one is 17万円. So everything is package price.
Do I follow Japanese politics? Not specifically, no, just a generic knowledge of it. It's just not worth it for me to read the political stories because it's the same story again and again, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, Mr. D. It's not worth my time to decode what happened because it's the same sort of stuff.
Just name.
Yeah, but even the actual government procedures, in the government building when they're having their discussions and making laws and stuff like this, it's now, this is what I think has changed during the time when I've been here. My impression is that if you go back 1 or 2 generations, the deliberations of the government will present policies, there will be debate in there, the opposition would say things, we want a different policy, there'd be a vote, and you've got a government progressing. But now, every single day of the week, one of the government ministers stands up, either the Prime Minister or the Minister for Agriculture or whatever, he stands up and makes his policy thing, and then for the rest of the afternoon, all the oppositions, one by one, stand up and challenge him and to try and make a scandal and to try and stop everything. There's no actual real debate about policy anymore. It's all about trying to find the scandal to bring the other guy down, or trying to find a discrepancy in what he said. You told 6 months ago you said this and now you're saying this. You're not really able to be governing. There's no sensible discussion or debate about what policy should be or how to move forward. It's only now and only about trying to take the other guys down. This is my impression of this. You're Japanese, you have a better knowledge of the language.
Is allowed to speak a few minutes.
I'm not talking about the election. I was talking about the actual governing. Once government is on. I'm not talking about the election. Every day the NHK news is exactly the same from the same camera. The parliament, the ministry, Koizumi made his policy, he made a statement about the rice yesterday, and then the other guys stand up for the rest of the afternoon, and all they can do is make him look bad, try and make him look bad.
In most cases, they just repeat again and again the same sentences.
I don't know, whatever. Someone says it's the same as politics anywhere. It's just now all about the dirt. And I'm sorry, I long ago became so disillusioned with it. Well, I can't vote here anyway, I don't care, but whatever. And maybe my impression of what it used to be is some golden age, I don't know. It's probably no different back then. Okay, video. Let's look at this video. Can I pull up your video clip? Last night we tried to see fireflies. We sat on the edge of the balcony here, not the balcony, we sat on the edge with our feet dangling over, just hanging above the water. We were about 2 meters above the surface of the water, and very cool. No mosquitoes, no bugs, no nothing there. I was in my shorts, and we could have been bitten to death. We were fine. We were fine.
This outfit.
But anyway, fireflies came. Sadako got her iPhone and followed some. So we've got it's a 90-second video of our fireflies.
On this monitor, I was able to see much better. But
Do not adjust your set. This is
setting?
No. I'm talking to them. Do not. This is the video. There are some. So there's one, top right-hand corner. Doko? That's dirt on my screen. Is it playing back? Yeah, it is. Look, there they are. Yeah.
見えない。ちょっと右の方かな。Is this number 3?
It's the last one that you told me. I forget. Whatever we did, I can't remember. You told me which one to use.
もう終わり。あ、まだある。もうちょっと。見えないね。
That's that. Okay. I don't. For me, I can't see anything. There's little bits of stuff on my screen, and I think I don't know. Sadako says on the phone she can actually sort of see it.
So much better.
Well, somebody says here. Someone said they showed up better on their screen. Okay. John says we're seeing it a lot better than you are. They're showing up quite well. Okay, whatever. What we had wanted was, those green streaks and stuff like this. But I don't know. We don't know how to do this.
And for the picture, it shows jigsaw.
But to do that, we need a stand and then a long exposure to do a time exposure. We should maybe try that. On your iPhone, can you set a time exposure?
Later, let's discuss. I'm going to study more about how to use this iPhone.
But there we are. This is where I live, and it's a bit still surreal to me. I live in Tokyo, one of the 35 million people on this planet, and in my backyard, I have fireflies. So whatever. It's still surreal to me, and I'm struggling very much with the how to use these wonderful resources that I have in my life and how not to get tangled and overwhelmed by them. I bought this place in the year 2000, which is 25 years ago, and for the first half of that, the first 12, 13 years, I just enjoyed a peaceful life. I built this workroom, made prints, enjoyed life, and then had an attack of insanity, which is still going on, got insane and hired people and built an organization, which is, of course, based down in central Tokyo. 30 people working for us, eaten my life, and I almost never get back to this place. So you can see the construction on my little room here is not quite finished yet. And somehow I would like to get more of this in my life and less of that in my life. But I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to dial that down a little bit and dial this up a little bit. That's either there, it eats everything in my life. Murata-san was here on Tuesday afternoon. I got a video clip, not for you today, I haven't edited it yet. Murata-san was here on Tuesday afternoon, the lady who's making paper for us. And as part of talking with her, we went out for dinner together, the three of us, and chatted with Murata-san. And I was talking to her about the same sort of thing. We've built this huge organization, blah, 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 because she's now part of this. She's making paper for our organization. And she's really the only bright spot in our future. You know, we're having trouble finding wood, as you just saw. We're having trouble finding printers. We're having trouble finding this and that. Dave's having trouble finding time to manage it all. But that lady with her paper is the huge one bright spot in our life. Oh, look at that. The shaking there, Sadako went down the stairs towards the river, and the camera is stuck to the stair railing, so it shook there a little bit. It wasn't an earthquake. Did you try throwing food from downstairs?
Yeah, much easier.
Yeah. But it's funny, the camera is on the stair railing, so when you went down the stairs, the camera goes, go, go. It's earthquake.
I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't matter. We can hear the footsteps too, so it's okay. So, yeah. The light is going to see we've got some leaves inside the water. Yeah. We can see through the water.
あ、本当だ。
Light's getting
落っ
better.
こっちゃったな。
The scale is 20 centimeters left to right. So the plate is about 25, no, 20, maybe the plate is 30 centimeters? No, 25, 28, I don't know. The scale is in centimeters and there's 20 of them. I could just sit here all day watching this thing. Okay, there's no point in trying to do more of this work because I can't. I just don't have the tools to do this. The next one I need, for example, I've got to paste it on and then I've got to print the key block again on top of it. I didn't bring the key block with me or my baron or anything, so I think I'll just finish that. No, I'll finish that back in Asakusa. We've seen enough of it today that some of the new people can see what's going on. I'll just take it back to Asakusa with me. Let's just do others. I can't continue with that. Let's do other stuff. Let's do the book, whatever. It's 9:02. Let's move on to the book corner. That's what I really want to do anyway today. So let's move on to the book corner. The book corner today is a bit different. As Sadako saw the pile of stuff I've arranged here, and she said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" The book corner up to now has been, roughly speaking, there's been two kinds of things. One kind of book corner, the way we did it at first, I went upstairs, took a book off the shelf, and introduced it to you. And as part of it, maybe we saw an ISBN number, and I might have said, "This is really nice. Maybe if you go and read this, you'll enjoy this." So it was not just it was sort of a book recommendation corner, as well as talking about why some book was interesting to me. But also then interspersed with that, we had something where I'd grab a book that I had sort of had something to do with. And it was nothing to do with a recommendation about what to buy or what to read. It was just a book that had affected me. Today's different because what I found that when I was yesterday looking up there, oh, I remember this, and I picked it out. But to tell you the story of this book is not just about this book itself. I need some other things to show you that will lead to why I have this book. And it's not just this book, it's a group of similar books that tell the same story. So we're going to do a little bit of a twisted thing here today. We do have a book corner. Somebody's already got the link to the book that I showed. Somebody's already read the title. They've got the Amazon link to buy it. Whatever. We step back a sec. We step back a minute. And we step back to this. What do you call it in English? I don't know. What are these? No, but I mean the thing that I'm about to show. It's a clipping file.
あ、切り抜きって日本語で言う。
そう、切り抜き. It's a clipping file. And I originally, this goes back to, I don't even know, this will be 1986 or something. When I was starting to make it as a printmaker in Japan, there would be stories about me in the newspaper or something, this or that. And I kept clippings from the newspaper that had been things relevant to me. The first one, this is 1992, this says. I thought there were some earlier than that. There's lots and lots of stuff in here. We're not going to go through the clipping file today, but what we are going to do, I should have jumped back even farther. It can't be helped. I don't have it. I wonder if I should go upstairs and get that.
Can I get?
No. Let me
So why do you go upstairs? I
feed the fish. Okay. Let me go and get something else, because I just realized that the story actually doesn't start here. The story starts one step before. I'm crazily disorganized today. Let me go upstairs and get something else which will lead off this story. 1 sec. Dave, get your act together. I'm trying to put the thread together. I'm sorry. I really should have been more organized on this today. This is what you get when you turn your brain off for a day. Yesterday I didn't do anything, and now today I'm having trouble getting my thoughts streamed together. There was logic to this story. We're going to end up somewhere, but I've started in the wrong place. 1974. We're in Kansas City. Kansas City. Me and the owner of our music store, which is doing well in Canada. The owner runs it. I'm a gopher. I'm doing this and that, packing packages of music, sweeping the floor according to some mangaka, whatever. I'm working for the music store. Me and the boss fly to Kansas City. We're going to have a meeting with a guy called Jonesy. I don't know his first name. It was Mr. Something Jones. He was the part owner of a huge American music store called Wingert Jones. And they sold music to school bands and orchestras and marching bands and churches and all kinds of stuff. And he and the boss of our company had become buddies. And we had called him, the boss had called him to say, we're struggling with something. We need some advice on how to run our business. And he'd said, come on over, fly over. We'd flown over to Kansas City, the two of us. He took us out to a huge steak dinner. That was a different story. A steak that would fill that plate. Whatever. Don't get sidetracked, Dave. Don't get sidetracked. And he heard our story about what we were trying to do. And we were trying to, revolutionize the sheet music business for our own area in Canada. He sat down with a couple of his minions and they chatted about how they had transformed their business and the things they were doing with their business to make it successful. We listened, we took notes, and we came home. He was a super friendly guy, knew his stuff top to bottom. He's dead generations ago. And one of the things that he talked about to us was that you have to realize that it's not products you're selling. When you've got a piece of sheet music or a saxophone or whatever, you think that that's the product you're putting into the market. And it is. That's the thing that people exchange money for. You put a piece of music on the table, they give money, and you both go away and you're both happy. But he said that's only the token of the thing that's being transferred. I'm scrambling the story here because I didn't quite have it all prepared for you. The point was, you have to have a relationship with the person that you have this transaction with. If they know who you are, if they know what you are doing, if they know why you are doing it, and if you know who they are and why they're doing it and what's going on. The more you know about each other, the more the thing that is changing, the value between the two of you is understood by both pieces. I'm rambling a little bit. One key point that he said was that my customers are not random, and I'm not a random dealer for them. And to that extent, he had created in his own business, generations ago, back in the 1940s or 1950s, he had created a newsletter with which he communicated with his customers. And with his own picture and his own name, and he told stories about his kids and stuff like this. And then, of course, it was interspersed with technical, practical things about the products that he was doing, the saxophones and the marching band music and whatever. So his customers got to know him not as a supplier of marching band music, but as a person who lived and breathed marching band music and understood it well. And when it came time that they needed marching band music, this was the man they naturally went to. You get what I'm getting at. Bill and I came away from this with a whole list of things. And one of the things we did when we got back to Canada, we said, Bill said it or I said it, we got to start a newsletter. So we did. We got it. It looked sort of just something like this. It was I think it was on an A4 sheet, and we had a little black title, and Bill wrote some stories for it, and I wrote some stories for it, and it was called Overtones. And it was the newsletter from the Northwest Musical Services Company. And it was pretty bad because we didn't know what we were doing. And it was a bit of a funny mix because it had advertisements for our products in it, but it also had pictures of Bill's kids and stuff like this in it. And I, of course, had to write this. Bill couldn't really write stuff at all, whatever. He said, Dave, do this. So Dave did it. And we took pictures, and I got a little piece of cardboard and put some red film in where the picture should go and printed out the stuff from our Selectric typewriter. Long story short, it transformed our business. Absolutely transformed our business. And we know this because we first started by doing it in a specific area, and the area in which we sent this to, the sales climbed dramatically, and the contacts climbed dramatically compared to the places that we didn't do this. So it became a key core part of our business. This is 1973, 74, 75. We now jump ahead now, 1989. Dave has long left the music company. This is all history. Don't even think about it anymore. Dave is making woodblock prints. I started this process of making a series of prints going out once each month, making a set of 100 prints. And as part of doing it, my work involved having collectors, having subscribers, because I didn't sell the prints one by one, by one, by one, by one. And Dave, copying what Bill and I had done in the music store, which copies what Jonesy had done in the Wingert Jones music store back in the 1940s, and he's probably copying something somebody did a generation before him, I don't know. Dave did his own newsletter. He didn't call it Overtones, he called it Hyakunin Issho. Now the poetry series I was making was called Hyakunin Isshu, 100 people, each one voice. It means 100 people, 100 poems, because the word shu means voice or song or poem, whatever. So I punned it, and I said Hyakunin Issho, because I was looking for 100 collectors. So the idea being 100 collectors, together with me, we would move forward to this glorious future of making woodblock prints and whatever, whatever. And of course, I wrote stories about what was going on. I know the good part of the bad part of some of the carving I did. I introduced one of my collectors who lived across the street. It was all very friendly and not, what's it called, didactic, and not overly. It was just very, very low key and very friendly. And I started it here, issue number 1, fall of 1990. The series started in 1989, but this started in 1990. And I did it for every 3 months. I physically produced this newsletter until the last issue, which would have been autumn of 2009, by which time the internet, of course, has eaten the world, and we're no longer sending out paper newsletters. I didn't just send it to customers or people who were collecting my work. I used it also as promotion. I had a Rolodex. Anytime I had got contact with media people, their name and address goes in my Rolodex at this time, and they also got this newsletter. It would have been a few years after I started this. This is 1990, maybe 92 or 93 or somewhere. I got a call one day from a lady at the Mainichi newspaper. She's been getting this thing. She's been reading these, and she says, I want to make a proposal to you. That's where this next story comes in, the newspaper clippings. Because what we have here, this must be the first one. We have 1993, March the 20th, the Mainichi Weekly. It's still exists or not, I have no idea. Maybe it's long gone. It was produced once each week on Sundays, and it was a miniature English newspaper. The Mainichi is a major Japanese newspaper. They have an English version, that's past tense, they had an English version, and they had an English thing called the Mainichi Weekly, which was to be a general interest, light scale newspaper published once a week. She pitched me, she wanted me to go into the rotation. There was a 4-member rotation for the cover story. And I guess one of the people who'd been doing the stories for them was retiring or leaving Japan or something. And she said, based on what I've seen you do in your little newsletter here, would you consider joining the rotation to do our front page stories? And I'm like, no, I'll think about it. No, whatever. I'm like, when do we start? When do we start? When do we start? So someone's joking about the puzzle. The English thing, actually, it sounds a bit funny. The Everyday Weekly, when you translate what it says, it's really strange. It makes sense, because Mainichi, it's the name of the organization. Of course, the Mainichi Shimbun literally is the everyday newspaper, but nobody looks at it. When you look at me, you don't think bull, you don't think horns. It's just the label. So this company's label is Mainichi, and the Mainichi Weekly. But the translation is bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. So whatever. So whatever. I sign on and I say yes. And I send in a story, and she sends it back saying, look, I'm sorry, I told you we need 300 words. And I'm like, well, yeah, about. No, she says, not about. I need 300 words. So I had tried to tell something. Now, if you're going to try and put across an idea in 300 words, you know, a story that starts and goes somewhere and has meaning and has a climax and comes down and finishes and rolls off into the sunset in 300 words, good luck. It's very, very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. So they rejected a whole bunch of stuff I sent. She knew, she thought I was good, she could train me, and she was right. She eventually trained me exactly to what I was doing. And I would get to the point where I could do these things, and I'd be writing this, I'd be thinking 220, 225, whatever, 230. And this lasted about 10 years. I worked for them, as I said, I'm in rotation. It wasn't my story every week, once a month or so, every 4 or 5 weeks, my story came up. And they were well received. And at the back of the Mainichi, each time there was a little. People had a deal where if you sent in your postcard with comments on the stories and stuff that had happened, they would print the comments and stuff. And my stuff started to get good comments. So it rolled on, month by month by month. Now, I felt I was good at this, but I also felt that this was a thing. Am I going to be a writer now? Am I going to be writing for newspapers, magazines? Remember, I'm making prints all the time. My main thing is to be a printmaker. But what I felt was, I think, Dave, I should study up. I should try and see if I can get good at this. Because it's all one thing to tell a story. It's another thing to be published and to do this properly. And I remembered that I had seen years and years and years and years ago a book by the guy you know as the creator of Winnie the Pooh. The guy's name was A.A. Milne. He started life as a comedy writer. He wrote for comedy newspapers like Punch magazine and stuff like that in Britain in the 1910 or 1920, something like this. And then he moved into detective stuff. He wrote plays on detective stories. And then later on, he had an idea that he would write some episodes about something his kid was doing. His kid's name was Christopher Robin, and he wrote the Winnie the Pooh stories, and that's now all we remember him for. But earlier, he was a writer, and a writer in a very familiar, friendly form, which is sort of where we're getting to the point. What Dave wanted to do and still wants to do is put the things that I have to say across in a what can I say? You know where they have the moral of the story is, this kind of stuff. Everything that I create, I don't want anybody to ever think when they get to the end of it, that was the moral of the story. I want to just use episodes from life, tell somebody about them, and maybe somewhere in the middle of that there might be something that we can both feel some value of. Sadako and I were chatting about this the other day. Was it a person you knew or a person you knew about, where it seemed that Miss A and Miss B, they had the same experiences, Miss B just whatever, but Miss A could take any little thing from her life and tell about it and talk about it, and something that nobody else would even have thought was an episode, it became a thing to think about and a thing to talk about. But it was the same experience that these different people had, but for some reason that person can take that little familiar experience, which everybody else would have maybe just ignored, and they could make something meaningful out of it. And this is why I had seen Milne do this. So I got him and his buddies. There's another guy, Robert Lind and E.V. Lucas. These guys are writing in the early part of the 20th century, and they're writing in this form. They actually probably do have something they want to communicate and encourage people and put forward their ideas into society, but they don't want to do so like this. And this lines up so much with my character. So I studied these guys, read their stuff, and as much as I could, incorporated this into the way I tried to present things. Short, concise. Someone's confused about the book I'm reviewing. Whatever, we'll get back to that in a minute, just a second. It's the concept at the moment that's important. The idea of these familiar episodes let's find one to read one, but to try and get across the idea. Just a sec. Okay, how about this one? Can I just read one of these things? It's 300 words. You can go to sleep, whatever. It won't take any time at all to try and put across the idea that I'm trying to get at here, because it relates exactly to what we're doing here right today, outside. Just let me try this just for a second to try and flesh out the idea that I'm trying to say here. It's one of the weekly, the front page stories from the Mainichi Weekly from March of 1995. Oh my God, 30 years ago. Let's try this. Whenever we can, usually every year or so, my two daughters and I escape from Tokyo for a while and spend some time down at the house in the country village where their late grandfather lived. An elderly aunt of theirs lives there by herself now, and as there's lots of room, she doesn't mind much if we drop in for a while. A typical visit usually lasts for a couple of weeks, and we always have a very good time, but the visit is not without problems. My girls are still quite young, 9 and 11, and I always have the same trouble with them each time we arrive in the country. They don't want to use the toilet. I think you can guess why. The house is very old, and the dark and gloomy bathroom out back behind the main building and next to an old woodpile is pretty scary territory for little girls. It's mostly the wildlife. Every time you open the door and look in, you catch quick glimpses of various insects and creepy crawlies all running off into little cracks and chinks in the walls. Sometimes one of the bolder ones, perhaps a beetle of some sort, perhaps a big spider the size of my open hand, will hold its ground, refusing to budge. It seems almost to be quite defiant, daring you to enter its territory. With the girls, this strategy usually works, and they run off in panic to fetch some adult assistance. I say with the girls, but I have to admit that even I too have been given pause before entering, and once, when I found a short snake in temporary residence in there, I withdrew quietly and took my business elsewhere. The aunt just laughs at us. She's lived there all her life, and these guests are simply small nuisances to be chased away, brushed aside, or stepped on as necessary. Us city slickers, though, aren't so experienced as she. For all our lives, we've lived in an environment where no surprises lurk behind bathroom doors, and no guests live with us. But which of these attitudes is more natural? To live in quite close proximity to these mostly harmless neighbors and share living space with them, or to maintain a rigorously clean, not to say sterile environment and keep them all out? Both options seem somewhat wrong to me. None of us wants to have bugs nibbling food in our kitchens. But on the other hand, as a result of the forced sterility of our city life, my daughters seem to be growing up with the feeling that they must avoid contact with all the other creatures that live with us on this planet. They are not friends of ours. They are things to be feared. This cannot be a healthy attitude for them, and I must try and make sure that during our short times spent in the country, they get acquainted with as much of the local fauna as possible. The little frogs in the garden, the hawks floating over the fields, the mice living in that pile of straw, and yes, even those guests who share our bathroom. But I guess I'm a little bit wrong, because it sort of does say, and the moral of the story is. So I guess whatever. I've probably contradicted myself, whatever. But that became the goal, to do these. And I think I sort of got pretty good at it. The newspaper wanted more, wanted more, wanted more. The response from the viewers was cool, good, good, good. I did it till about, 2000 and, I don't know, early 2000s, when the internet came along and their publishing pattern changed, and me too, mine changed. I became more involved in putting things on the internet rather than doing that. But then to make this more relevant to the actual story thing then, I learned, or I guess as much as I can say, when I learned from models, it was this kind of material, which was produced about 100 years before I did mine. It was a genre. They're called familiar essays. And maybe in the German and French, some cultures have different things similar, but the Brits did this really, really well. 1910, it's the end of the Edwardian through into the Georgian era. 1910, 1920, 1930. The three guys who were my guides were A.A. Milne, and this is just one. He's got dozens and dozens and dozens of these. These guys wrote these things thousands at a time. Another man really good at this, Things One Hears by Robert Lind. This I think is a bit later. This is the 1930s. And then the third author who I was sort of trying to understand and to read was E.V. Lucas. Now, you don't have to buy any of this stuff. All of these things are long, long, long out of copyright. Anything like, what is it, the Gutenberg website or stuff like that has these all over. So if you're interested in the genre or in learning more or feeling more about these things, you can find this stuff anywhere easily at the touch of a search button. Probably Amazon's got them anyway, but you don't need to buy them. And there's a couple of other little funny sidetracks to this. I was showing Sadako one of these books this morning. They're very dusty. They're on my shelf. They're very, very old-fashioned, of course. And I was turning the pages to show her something. And as we turn the pages here, you turn the page 75, page 77, what goes on. And it turns out, here we go. Can I zoom in? Some of you will know about this. Some of you will not know what I'm going to talk about here. You turn the page 82. We turn the page to page 83. And then as we turn it, it jumps to page 86. Then page 87. And it jumps to page 90. And 91. And now 92. And it looks a bit confusing. It's not a fold out and it's not a misprint. Back in this era, this is how books were published, as in print and published. They were printed, of course, on larger sheets of paper, folded, stapled, bound, and then trimmed. And in some cases, the books would have been actually trimmed all the way so that each page is loose leaf turning. These are what are called uncut books. They could have been trimmed if the publisher had wanted to. He could have taken the guillotine to this point. But they wanted to leave the natural edge on a bunch of these sheets, which meant that the ones tucked inside didn't get cut. And they're called uncut books. And I used to have, in my little reading room library back at home in Canada, in my bookshelf, I had a little hera. What are they called in English? I don't know. It's a little piece of bamboo, like a letter opener. A letter opener. And as you read through the book, you grab your letter opener and soup, you open the pages by yourself. Now Dave here, you just got to shoot me. I'm just such an idiot, whatever. I got this book at a used bookstore. I must have got it in England. It's £3, 50 shillings. It's a first edition from 1927. It's worth nothing. We're not talking about a James Joyce first edition. We're talking about a book of essays. But I cannot bring myself to cut the pages. They've lasted this long.
How did you read?
It's on the net. No, it's on the net now. But when I got this, what I must have done, and I know exactly what I must have done, I must have gone like this. And here I am. I'm reading it because I cannot bring myself to cut this stuff. It's worth, there is no value here. It's worth absolutely nothing. I paid £3 for it, whatever. But a book that has sit uncut since 1927, Dave is going to sit here in 2025, grab my knife and cut it. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. Someone says, can you love a sandwich so much you don't ever want to eat it? So yeah, I'm an idiot. It's okay. It's not just this one, the other one. I've also got two. I've got one upstairs. What's the guy's name? I've got a rare book on ukiyo-e history that I would really, really like to read. And the whole damn thing's uncut. The whole thing. So all you can read is the two outside pages, and the whole thing has not been uncut. I don't dare cut it. It's a rare antique book. And I think that book upstairs, the one, what's the guy's name? Fick, F-I-C-K-E. It's a book on ukiyo-e history, and it was written over 100 years ago. And it's actually a rare book. The book itself is an antique. We're not talking about reading the contents. We're talking about the volume itself is an antique. So I can't cut it. Now, people people would be so upset. That's an antique, uncut book. It's like just putting paint on the Mona Lisa. You're destroying something. Now, this is a little bit different because this book itself is so common. The book is not valuable as an antique. But there's no way I can cut this. I'm sorry. And if you think I'm an idiot because of that, that's fine. Whatever. Things are what they are. My character is what it is. And actually, most of these are cut. In fact, that's funny because it tells you some previous owner of this book. They're all cut, until it gets up to, what page was it? I've lost track of where it was now. They're cut, yeah.
It was like me.
So they're cut to about 2/3 of the way through, and then the rest aren't cut. So it tells you the previous reader must have just got bored and got bailed out or something and never got to the end. So the earlier ones, the whole first half of the book, they're all cut and sliced. So, but the ones close to the back are not cut. So can't be helped. Can't be helped. Can't be helped. So someone's saying there's mix. People are saying I would cut, wouldn't cut, would cut, wouldn't cut. So someone says I wouldn't cut it. So because it's lasted this long, you know, it's come this far. And there's, you guys said you can read it just anywhere. Gutenberg or whatever it's called on the internet has these things, and you can read them anytime. There is a little bit, I mean, I'm over time a little bit, but there is something I sort of read these books and enjoyed them and tried to learn how to do my own writing in this style. But when these books then went into storage for a long, long time, and when I got them back out of storage when I came here in Ome, and got them out on the shelf and put them up on a bookshelf. One day, this is years ago, this is 10, 15 years ago or whatever, I grabbed one of these off the bookshelf. So I think I'll have a little read from one of these. And I opened it sort of at random and started to read one of the stories. Now, mine were 300 words, but on a Milne, one of the places he was writing for, the length was 1,200. And he talks about this in one of the stories. The rule was 1,200. They will pay him whatever it was, £1 and 5 shillings or whatever, for a 1,200 word story. So he said he got really good at understanding what 1,200 words are. But having said that, and I've got to be honest about this, when I came back to it later, I pulled one off the shelf, sat down to read it. It started off well, and then I thought, oh, he's got something to say here. But then we got about halfway through, and I felt, okay, there's not really much else to say here. And then he started to add stuff. And it became clear he was filling. He'd put filler in, mental filler in. The story really, he'd already wrapped up the concept of what he was trying to say, but he padded it out, and it was really clear. There was no content anymore. He was padding out to get to 1,200. So it's all very well, this sort of thing we're talking about, this idea, and Dave did his Mainichi stories, and I got really good at doing the 300 words and stuff like that. But maybe I was saved by the bell. These were so short, 300 words. There's no chance for padding. Oh my God, that's it. You the other way around. Mine were too long. Cut, trim. Try and get it done inside 300 words. But if you give yourself too much rope, if you give yourself too much space to fill, or the assignment doesn't match what you have to say, and I felt my respect for him dropped quite a level after realizing, oh, look at that, that's just filler. So I don't know. There's one tiny little appendix to add to this. After doing that stuff for the Mainichi Weekly for a long, long time, when we came to an end of this, they didn't fire me. They hired me to do columns for a while. We should save those for another story. I became a columnist for the Mainichi newspaper, the main newspaper. But that's another story. We'll talk about that a bit later. It's illustrated. I don't know. Talk about that one. Columnist. Where's the? But then, where's the?
What are you looking for?
The other story. This one. After that finished, after the 300-word story finished with the Mainichi newspaper, I started to do it myself. I did it myself. I self-published. I took the same idea, 300 words, and I started doing it myself once a week. And it was on the internet. It was a thing called a story a week. So if anybody who has heard the one I just read a few minutes ago and thought, whatever, they're nice or whatever, follow, somebody will put a link. Someone's got a link. Yeah, thank you. Lingual Logic has put a link here. There's 500 more of them. If one was enough for you or not, there's 500 more of them on Story a Week. It was good fun. It was good fun. Okay, I think I blabbed too much. Let's just get back to the fish. We've gone enough. Next stream is going to be Saturday back in Saksa, and I might be finishing up these color separations, or I will, if not, I will be printing. We're going to have printing streams for the next little while. Sadako is going to go and feed some fish. Let's leave this on for a while. So myself, I'll see you then on Saturday. Today's been a bit strange, I'm sorry. Completely boring, completely nothing going on, I'm sorry. Oh, look at that one right on top of the plate. Look at that. Measure him quickly before he gets away. 14, 15. Now that I think about it, I wonder these streams, you know, we've set ourselves the idea that it should be 90 minutes long. And maybe 20 minutes was enough, and we've just padded it out like the stories. 15 minutes of content padded out to be 90 minutes. I don't know. Yeah, someone's asking the cover of that book. The cover I just showed you a minute ago, that's exactly the same place that I am sitting right now. Quite a number of years ago. Okay, away we go. See you next Saturday. Thanks very much. Bye for now.